Hey folks, Patreon, YouTube, EddiePepitone.com. If you're interested and want to support the pod, go down below and click those links. We sure would appreciate it. And now, let's give you a nice little show. Boys and girls, gentlemen and ladies, men walking by without shirts on and short shorts ripped out of their gourds. Welcome to Apocalypse Soon, the only podcast with absolutely zero upside. And now, we're here. The host, the man, the myth, the legend. He's alive, but it feels like he's been gone for a long time the way people talk. It's Eddie Pepitone.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Apocalypse Soon. We are in a beautiful golden hour. There's a silver sliver of the moon right in front of us. It's a crescent moon, and we say good day, good night, good afternoon. Welcome to the park. And Kev, yes, it is another golden hour podcast.
Golden hour, we're looking up at God's thumbnail.
God's thumbnail.
Speaking at us, winking at us, and it's a beautiful day.
It really, really is. And how are things going with you lately? I know you had a close call almost doing cocaine in Sacramento.
I did.
Which, by the way, was a very short-lived television series. Almost doing cocaine in Sacramento.
Close to coke and sack. That was the code, Close to coke and sack.
Close to coke and sack. And that was Michael Imperioli was attached to that project.
Yes.
But he didn't want to travel to Sacramento. Who can blame him? There isn't much there.
Yeah.
In Sacramento.
It's a bummer. I had a beautiful hotel room in Redlands.
Redlands.
Yes.
Now that's something I like. I like those big trees.
Oh yeah. The Redlands where the red trees are?
Well, there's big trees up there, right?
Oh yeah, they're up there.
What do they call those? Sequoias and
the redwoods.
The redwoods.
Yeah. Those guys are crazy. Those are the ones you can drive the car through. Up in Camp Nelson.
You ever try to hug a redwood? It's like hugging an extremely fat uncle, like really heavy uncle.
Mm-hmm. And just about the same amount of reciprocation that you get from a heavy uncle too.
I love trees. They are gorgeous, And we had a close encounter.
Oh yeah.
Out here with the tree. But we survived it, and I respect the trees. I went out and bought a couple of books about trees. I got a tree tarot card deck. Do you know that? I should have brought it out here. Yeah.
I mean, that's great. I know a lot of comics, a lot of female comics that are also practicing tarot card reading, and mind reading, or what is it, dream interpretation and stuff like that.
I love dream interpretation. You want to give me a dream you've had recently, and I'll interpret it for you?
Well, the dream that I used to have a lot.
Yeah, let's hear it. Recurring, huh?
Recurring dream is I walk in on my wife, and she's with another man. And I go,
are you being serious?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I go, Jenny, what the heck? And she's like, come on, Kevin, like you didn't know already. And she's like, stop being like this. And I'm like, but I'm like baffled. And the whole time she's like, come on, you knew what was going on. And then I wake up.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I think that dream is now, I know you and Ginny have a good marriage, and you don't suspect her of any foul play.
I don't. I think I just, right? I suspect.
I mean, you may. I remember once you said you caught her discarding a weapon, a gun, out of your car. Like you just saw her throw, like you guys were over a suspension bridge and Ginny threw a gun out into the water, and you were like, Ginny, what the hell was that? Yeah. And she claimed it was just a compact kit, but you knew it was the family gun.
I knew it was a gun.
The family gun.
The family gun, just like the family Bible. And, and I had to come to terms with that if I wanted to stay married, that was none of my business. It's none of my business. And if she wants to throw guns off a bridge, that's between her and the gun.
Now, you having it has to do, now, on the surface.
Yeah.
That dream has to do with trust issues.
Yes.
Like, come on, Kevin, you knew already. I think it had to do and correct me if I'm wrong here, perhaps some anxiety from you about your performance in the bedroom. Now, I don't know if you're like me. What I do is anyone I sleep with, I implore them to use Yelp, and they Yelp me, and then I can read the reviews, read the comments, perhaps, improve my game.
Yeah. No, I mean,
now, were you feeling a little lackluster in the sack at some point?
I mean, I've always.
Are you your worst critic in bed?
Oh, absolutely. She'll be making noises, and she'll be screaming, "Oh, yes, yes, yes," and I'll be like, "Come on, it's not that great." Like, you don't have to showboat for me. I know what I'm doing. And she's like, "You're always so hard on yourself," and I'm like,
"I'm trying to be hard on you, baby."
That's right.
Yeah. No. A lot of sexual partners will embellish.
Oh yeah.
One time I was making tremendous love to a transient person. And by transient, I mean someone who didn't have a home.
Yes.
And I was making love to them. It was, I was lonely. It was in Topeka.
Yeah. Oh, Kansas?
And Topeka. Yeah. Well, what other Topeka?
Who knows?
Do you know any other Topeka?
There might be a lot of Topekas I'm unaware of.
Maybe. Anyway, I was in bed with the transient, and she kept yelling at the top of her lungs, and we were in a Motel 6. And,
wow.
We knew we could be loud because the couple next door, we just heard 2 gunshots, and we knew they were done.
Yeah.
I mean, there's different ways you could check out of a motel in Topeka.
Oh, that's right. Absolutely.
And that was an early checkout.
That was a real early checkout. Oh, yeah.
It was like 3 a.m., and they had till 11 to kill themselves.
Oh, yeah.
And they decided. Anyway, she was screaming this over and over, and I just thought it was embellished because she was screaming things like, "My God, this is the best sex I've had for $500. And, I felt like she was just trying to, float my boat.
Yeah.
Because I had given her, 500.
Well, you get, yeah. Oh, you paid. So, okay, if she gets paid 500.
Yeah. No, I didn't start making money with sex until much later in my life.
Yeah. See, I was wondering about where the timeline was.
Right.
I'm like,
I didn't start making money for sex until I hit, I would say about 50, when I really had honed my sexual technique to, now
a razor's edge.
Oh yeah. Now, if you want to have sex with me, just even foreplay is $1,000. And, it can get up to $5,000, $6,000.
Oh, yeah.
I've
seen guys walk up to you and give you a 20 and just say, "Hey, you look great today." Yes. And I'm like, wow. This guy's, it gets to the psychological stuff.
Absolutely.
I feel like I could be I could be really good at like emotional prostitution. Like, you know what I mean? Like I could be.
Tell me about that. Sounds good, actually. Like emotional
like a woman could hire me and she could just complain.
That's not bad.
Oh, baby, I'm so sorry.
Emotional prostitute. Hello.
Hey, I'm so sorry you're going through
that. Do you need someone to complain to and get out your deepest, darkest things that are vexing you? Well, I'm at Pepitone, and for just $45 an hour, I'll listen to your horse shit. Your horse shit that you think is so important. I am an emotional hooker.
Baby, you shouldn't have to go through this stuff. You know what I mean? I'm so sad. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, but
that you had to go through this.
Everybody is fucking having a good life but me.
Ugh, and you should be having a good life.
I know it, and I get fucked all the time.
Oh, baby. I'm so sorry.
Hello, I'm Ed Pepitone, emotional whore. You could pay me as low as $31 an hour so I can listen to your egotistical horse shit.
For $25 an hour, you can text Eddie at any time.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's so that dream you had where she's telling you, "Oh, Kevin, I don't know. What do you think?" Now,
Well,
usually the person who dreams it knows best what's going on.
Well, I have always felt that I kind of lucked out with my wife a little bit, and all my friends would when they would meet my wife in the beginning would be like, "Oh, why are you dating? You're dating him?" Like, so there was a lot of that type of stuff where I felt like
maybe you didn't feel worthy.
Yeah, I still don't.
Still don't.
I'm always kind of waiting for her to, realize her huge mistake, and then just walk out the door. But it's been a long time at this point. We've been together alive longer than we haven't.
Are you always surprised when she comes back?
Oh yeah,
from work.
Oh yeah, anytime.
Or the supermarket,
or walking the dog,
and you're like, "Baby, you're back."
You're back.
And she's like, "Yeah, I just walked the dog." And you're like, "Oh, I didn't think you were coming back, baby."
Yeah.
And she's like, What are you talking about? We have dinner being served." And you're like, "It's just that I know I don't deserve you."
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, I know you're looking for an off ramp, and no, I've had a couple of those, and I would tell her, I'd tell her about it, and she'd grab me by the head and tell me she's not going anywhere. I'm like, all right, we'll see.
Really?
Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah, you got to remember, we were like 18 when we met, so we were,
You've been together how many years?
Since 1999. So
whoa.
Yeah.
That's right. You've told me this before.
Yeah. It's been a long time.
Boy, it's a beautiful, nice night here. I hope people can still see us. It's really nice here.
I'm going to get some shots of the...
Yeah, and you're going to put it up online?
Well, I'll put it with the video.
By the way, this is the time of night where the police helicopters, and you can hear one now. There's a police helicopter going by now. And these police helicopters, there's a great, they're very nicely lit. They have like a red and green little light on behind, and they're searching for a lunatic down below. They're usually searching for an escaped convict or someone, someone poor. They go after the poor people. They're called in LA ghetto birds because they police the ghettos, and they're not circling over people in Beverly Hills. That's for damn sure. Those are our real criminals, are the white collar crime people, the people who kill people with a flick of a switch. You ever kill anybody with a flick of a switch?
Not yet. Not yet.
I always, I went through a period where I was looking for a job many years ago, and this was in New York, and the prison Sing Sing, which is in New York, I almost got the job of electric chair.
The switchman.
Electric chair. And they said, what? And I got interviewed, and it was weird because it was in that chamber, and I was in an electric chair when they were interviewing me, and they were like, why do you want to be the switchman here at Sing Sing? And I said, I'm a people person. What you say during an interview.
Yeah.
I'm a people person. I like watching people melt. I said, when I was a child, I remember getting soft serve ice cream, and it would melt invariably, and I would cry. But, as a switchman, I think I wouldn't cry.
Great memories.
Seeing someone melt, I think, is a great thing. And I went through 3 job interviews. It was like call back.
Yeah.
And it came down between me and this guy who had no arms, and he would flick the switch with his nose. So I thought I had it.
Yeah.
He had a huge nose, and he would flick the switch with his nose, but he got it because he was just. He had a car, and I didn't have a car. I don't know how he drove the fucking thing. You know?
That'll get you, the guy with the car, He may not have arms, but you might not be able to get to work,
Absolutely.
Man, I'm sad to hear that happened, That could have, the trajectory that your life would have taken would have been very different, having seen all those lives taken, by your hand.
Yeah.
And now by his nose.
And, I think the electric stare is a whole nother. The electric stare is for people with just misdemeanors. They just get jolted on a stair.
Yeah.
The electric stare. Or you get stared at by someone who can bend spoons. You ever see anyone bend a spoon with their mind?
No, I only on The Matrix.
Oh, The Matrix?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I have to watch The Matrix.
Oh, it's pretty good.
The first one.
Pretty good. Yeah, the first and the second one I like. But the spoon bending, you've seen a spoon bender in real life?
Oh, my God. Well, first of all, I've been on many benders. Spoon bender, alcohol bender, weed bender,
Gender bender?
Gender bender, Bender. Was a Bender. There was a character named Bender on some show.
Yes, on the
what was it?
The Simpsons follow-up, Futurama.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. Right. I never watched that show.
I'm surprised you weren't on that show.
Yeah,
you got a great voice.
I've been, by the way, I'm on a show. I was driving down Sunset Boulevard last night, going to the Comedy Store, and a huge billboard for Kite Man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Kite Man. And Adomian's a major player on that.
Oh,
I think we mentioned it briefly last podcast, but I'm also a regular on it. So that was nice to, see a billboard of a show I'm finally in.
Yeah.
Besides Real Prisoners of SoCal.
Which you do great on, by the way. Great stuff.
You could put me in jail, but I still will make my mark.
Absolutely.
Do you want to fix the aperture here?
Yeah,
I do.
I'm gonna do that.
Well, Kevin is. You see, what Kevin is doing is he's trying to brighten it up because we're out here late. We're trying to get in another podcast, and the light is waning. We think you deserve a podcast with poor lighting, because we feel like you people need to squint to see us. It really may work to our advantage. Oh, that looks better. That looks better. Anyway, we should get into a bit. Why don't we get into a bit?
I love it. I think we should just start it off with the way we start many of these podcasts off, is with the guided meditation. What do you think? You feel good?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
And now, as the thumbnail of God hangs low in the sky and the whirlybirds find another potentially guilty man, it's time for guided meditation with Eddie Pepitone.
All right, everybody. I want you to get into a beautiful, beautiful, light-fitting garment. I want you to be clothed like the lilies in the field. And if you notice the lilies in the field, they do not tile, they do not tire, nor do they sweat. Tiling is a different thing. Tiling is done usually by men who have taken a wrong path in life, and they have to grout bathrooms with tile, and they're usually addicted to various substances. No, I want you to be the lily in the field, see them, they do not tire, etc. And now, with your first in-breath, I want you to envision yourself having cardiac arrest. All right? I want you to envision yourself, and I know this doesn't seem like a good thing, but bear with me. You're having cardiac arrest. You're alone, but breathe in that feeling of knowing that 911 is on the way. Just breathe that in, that 911 will be there shortly, and you will be rescued. Your feet are shaking back and forth. Your hands are shaking. Your body's shaking. You feel the life going out of you, but your medical bracelet has worked. And now, with your first out breath, I want you to breathe out the fact that 911 didn't make it in time. Just breathe that out. Don't take that in. 911 never made it there in time, and now you have to transcend and transition to another mode of living, because you're no longer a viable human being, and you have to now go into a little place we call death. I want you now to breathe in the fact that you're in a coffin. Breathe in the fact that you're in a coffin, but it's a very nice funeral home. The funeral home has flowers, a book for people to sign into for your funeral, and the person giving the speech is the janitor, because no one has shown up at your wake, and the janitor has been asked by the head of the funeral home to give the eulogy for you, and the eulogy goes something like this, and I want you to breathe in this eulogy, and the eulogy goes something like this. I didn't know him. I didn't know him, but by the looks of him, he looked like he had a hard life. And, wow. I really don't know what to say. I mean, I have chemicals all over my body from being a janitor here. I think I have formaldehyde poisoning, but I just want to say, what's his name? Stu? What's the name of this guy, Stu? Lou? Okay. Lou here, he gave a lot to the community. I don't know. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But I'm trying to do right by this guy, Lou. I'm sure he jerked off like a madman from what I can see up here, looking down at Lou. I'm sure he liked egg-class cream puffs. Who doesn't like a Napoleon or anything that's phyllo pastry with custard? Anyway, I just like to say to Lou, I'm sorry I didn't know you. I want you to breathe that in, and now, with your out breath, I want you to breathe out the fact that nobody showed up at your funeral, but at least you were taken at an age where you were about to fail the bar exam.
And thanks for joining us on another guided meditation with Eddie Pepitone.
That felt good.
Felt great.
We're basically in the dark now.
We are basically in the dark out here, folks. And
I mean, there is no daylight anymore.
No.
There's some moonlight.
There's a little bit of moonlight.
You think people will be able to see us?
I don't know. I mean, well, I've got that thing. It's cranked right now.
It's
cranked.
All
as
right.
far
Well,
as,
folks, it isn't so much what you see on a podcast, but
it's more about what you hear.
What you hear. But I would like to demonstrate right now me swallowing a very small man. No, please don't swallow me. You ever swallow a small individual? Like,
maybe.
I feel like you're playing your cards close to the vest there.
Maybe. No, I remember at one point taking a drink. I'll never forget this shit. I took a drink of a Starbucks that was sitting in the back, back counter at the store I worked at in T-Mobile, and I grabbed it and I sucked something was in my mouth, and it was too late. I had already kind of swallowed it.
Where was this?
In T-Mobile.
Boy, a lot happens to you.
Oh, yeah. So I went over to the trash can and I'm like...
Something was in the drink?
Yeah, I think some sort of insect crawled into the straw hole.
Well, that happens, yeah.
But it could have been a man. It could have been a little man.
Well, you saw the movie Incredible Shrinking Man.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
Or
yes.
was it Woman? I forget.
No, I think it was the Incredible Shrinking Man.
Incredible Shrinking Man. I hope you folks have seen that. If not, please stream it immediately. And it gives this whole riff a little more weight that, someone could be shrunken. I think this man was exposed to some type. It was a science fiction movie. I think he was exposed to some type of radiation.
Yeah. I'm actually. It's kind of odd that you brought this up because I'm actually working on my one-man show, the Incredible Shrinking Ego, where my self-esteem just goes down throughout the show. By the end of the show, I try to convince everyone to leave because it's not worth their time.
By the end of every show that I do, the ego is usually on the floor, and what I have to do is I leave the place that I just performed, and I'm like, holy shit, I don't have my ego with me. And I call the club and I say, it's probably on the floor, I say.
Could you just look around?
Could you look around? And they find the ego, and I drive back and get it, put it in again, and try to tell myself lies, because that's what the ego thrives on.
Oh, you got to do it. You're doing great, pal. That's what I go, you're doing great, pal. And then I just look at myself. I go, you're not doing great. And I have to lie to myself again and fight myself.
I think because we're in the dark, we should dedicate the last part of the podcast to like horror story. Like it's summer.
Yeah.
A lot of kids are in camp, and a great tradition is to tell scary stories.
Yeah, dude, I got a great idea. Keep talking about this. I'm gonna find a little flashlight.
Okay. So anyway, I know that a lot of kids have to go away to camps because their parents just can't fucking deal with them anymore. Their parents have just too many. They shouldn't have had children in the first place, and now they have kids and they have to send them away, and they're with other kids who've also been neglected, and so they're going to have these stories, horrible stories. And here we go. Here's the first story. Oh, that looks perfect. All right, kids, welcome to Fred Johnson's Campgrounds. Now, we're going to be telling scary stories here tonight. Now, I know a lot of you were dropped off here mistakenly at Fred Johnson's Campgrounds. And that's because I purposely put my campgrounds next to a real campgrounds, and parents mistakenly drop their kids off on my campground. So this first story is about what happens here at Fred's Campgrounds. Here we go. It was a dark night, and all you fucks were dropped off at my campgrounds. And I was in the bathroom when you got dropped off, and I told my wife, just get the little brats and bring them near the cabin. And she always gives me lip. And I said, honey, it's no time for a blowjob. And then you kids got dropped off. So I want to hear from you, little John. What do you feel right now in this campground?
I'm a little scared right now. I've never been away from my parents this long.
Is it a good thing?
It's kind of nice, but I'm scared. But I guess my mom's not here to get mad at me.
Well, when I got away from my parents, it was the best feeling in my fucking life.
Huh.
No longer was there horrific, dark shadow voices. You familiar with Carl Jung and The Shadow?
Oh yeah, I read a lot of Jung.
You do?
Yeah. I'm a kind of a weird kid,
You ever read Karen Horney or Sigmund Freud or...
Freud.
How about R.D. Lang? You ever read R.D. Lang? Look him up.
I don't know. I never heard of him before.
He wrote something called The Doors of Perception that Jim Morrison, he took that title. Anyway, kids, this is the story of Jim Morrison who died in a bathtub in Paris. And I want to tell you, this story. So Jim Morrison got totally fucked up on bourbon and pills. And then he went to take a bath in a Paris hotel. And he fucking drowned. That's it. End of story. How do you feel now, little Johnny?
It was kind of fun. I thought I liked Jim Morrison. Could you tell another Jim Morrison story about peyote?
Peyote, okay. This is a story of Jim Morrison going to Joshua Tree in California and doing peyote. You ready?
Yeah.
So Jim Morrison used to go to Joshua Tree and do peyote, and he would fucking drink bourbon with it, kids. Hey, do you have to curse?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm sorry. I thought you were old enough.
Hey, guys, our parents aren't even here. He can say it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I don't like kids who are scared of real life.
Yeah,
this
guys.
is real life. So Morrison would be shirtless in the desert, sometime even pantless. And he would freaking do so much peyote that it wasn't even therapeutic. He did the amount of peyote that you didn't get insight from. You just got deep, disturbing visions. He kept seeing someone from the inside of his body eat out his heart and then take the heart, put it in a bucket, and say to a driver, deliver it to a juggler in downtown Los Angeles. Yeah, that's right.
Way.
That's right. I hope you realize that this camp is not for the faint of heart. All right? And if any of you have a bad heart, first of all, you should go to a cardiologist and do a stress test. And secondly, if you have a bad heart, then Frank Johnson's camp is not for you. And now this is a final story about Jim Morrison.
Aw, last story?
About Jim Morrison.
Okay.
Then after that, we're going to go to Kate Bush. And then after we tell a story about Kate Bush, we're going to tell the story of Jimi Hendrix, who also died of an overdose. By the way, any kids object to stories about musicians dying of overdoses?
My mother's a harpist, and the idea of a musician dying is actually kind of really scary to me and personal, because also my friend who was a bassist got hit in the head with a baseball, and they said he would be fine, but he didn't wake up next day.
All right. Now, first of all, there has never been a harpist who's OD'd, and I don't know if it has to do...
That's actually true. It's true. I've heard that.
I don't know if it has to do with the instrument or the fact that harpists don't have addictive personalities. But anyway, last story about Jim Morrison. Then we go to Kate Bush, Janis Joplin, and I'm thinking Paul Simon.
Okay.
Round of applause if you want to hear a horrible story about Paul Simon.
Who's Paul? Who's Simon?
Well, did you ever hear of Simon and Garfunkel?
Yeah.
He was the Simon of it.
Oh, okay.
All right, so we're going to tell a story.
Are you Paul Simon?
No. Paul Simon has a lot of money, and he doesn't have to do a job like this.
Okay.
He lives with Edie Brickell in Central Park West in the Hamptons. I think he might have moved to Texas to avoid taxes.
Wow.
A lot of people move to Texas to avoid taxes, kid. And let me tell you something. If you ever see an IRS agent on your property, particularly if it's a farm, get out the shotgun.
We interrupt this program to bring you a bulletin from Charles Nabisco.
Hello, I'm Charles Nabisco. And have you ever seen someone get burned alive in a vehicle? Well, we have a cookie for that. It's called My God, I Can't Unsee This. And if you see one of our Girl Scouts selling My God, I Can't Unsee This shortbread cookies, I want you to buy them, because these cookies are so vivid in the depiction of someone getting burned alive. in their car that I just want you to support it, okay?
Look for the man with the melted skin on the box.
All right, kids. Sorry about that little interruption. What kind of cookie is that?
Weird cookie.
I would love it.
Yeah, I kind of.
I would love to eat a cookie with a great depiction of someone getting burned alive in a car.
That's like an adult cookie. We could do it. Our parents aren't even here. I guess we could eat that cookie.
I'm Charles Nabisco. Have you ever been tied up in a basement and the person who tied you up is wearing a clown mask and he's got a long needle? Well, Nabisco has a cookie for that called Abduction by a Clown with a Long Needle. And it's a beautiful shortbread cookie. And if you see one of our scouts selling it, please buy it. Abduction by a Clown with a Long Needle.
You won't be able to not eat it.
Abduction. Anyway.
All right, kids, back to the last Jim Morrison story. So Morrison was stumbling around backstage at Whiskey A Go-Go in Los Angeles, and he kept hitting his own face with his hand because he was self-abusive. Even though Morrison came from a privileged background, his parents had money, Morrison never, ever accepted himself. Hence, all the drugs, kids. And this is why I tell you, if you were dropped off at my camp, then you probably have self-esteem issues because your parents don't care. You ever hear of Leopold and Loeb, kids?
Yeah.
They killed a 14-year-old just for the thrill of it. Look, PBS has a show called The American Experience where they focus one episode on Leopold and Loeb. Who's Leopold and Loeb? They were two entitled fucks who killed a kid just for the thrill of it. Oh.
Wait, are they still around?
Hello, this is Charles Nabisco. Leopold and Loeb, it's their 50th anniversary of killing Bobby Franks, and we have a cookie called Leopold and Loeb Anniversary Murder of Bobby Franks. And that cookie is a beautiful shortbread cookie, and if you see one of our scouts buying it, please, selling it. Sorry, I'm a little fucked up from I get turpentine injected into the head of my penis.
Anyway, kids,
This story has a lot of corporate sponsorship.
Hey, somebody's got to keep these lights on, kid.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah, but there are no lights on. It's a stupid flashlight or something. Listen, don't mouth off. You're in the middle of nowhere, and your parents think you're at some sanctioned camp when you were just dropped off here. Oh. Anyway, so Morrison was hitting himself backstage with his hands, and he kept hitting himself, and the stage manager said, "Jim, you're on." And he came out there and he was like, "Don't you love her madly? Don't you need her badly? Don't you love her madly when she's walking out the door?"
You know, the piano player played the bass on that with the piano.
What are you, a doors expert, kid?
Well, I like to know, like,
What do you know about French doors or swinging doors or swinging dicks?
Accordion doors? Swinging dicks, I don't know. I don't know who that is.
Swinging dicks, they were men, kid. They were men's men. They were in the old way. Anyway, kid, by law, I can't tell you that story, but
oh, man.
that's the last Jim Morrison story. Now, kids, I want you all to dig your own graves.
All right.
We'll be right back to scary storytelling after a word from NASA.
Hello, I'm Tom NASA, and I developed NASA. All right, I'm lying. I'm Charles Nabisco. And you ever see when a rocket launch doesn't go well and the astronauts die? You have a cookie for that. And it's called, oh my God, they fucking died. So if you see one of our scouts selling this beautiful shortbread cookie called, oh my God, they fucking died, please buy it. The scouts rely on these cookies.
That's some cookie.
Well, dude, this looks pretty good.
It does, actually.
I'm happy with it. For the situation,
You know,
for the minimalists we got going on.
Look, we're in a dangerous park in North Hollywood, but the lighting is kind of terrific for and if we get, the worst that can happen is we get murdered, right? And and after that, the next worst thing that can happen is that we get maimed. And we can't use our limbs or whatever.
Well, we could, but the nice thing about it is the disability. The government would be forced to give us money just for having been maimed in the park.
That's true. This is public land, isn't it?
I mean, this is the podcast with no upside, but that doesn't mean getting maimed in a park doesn't have any upside. It does.
Anyway, what I want to say is that you will not get this on other podcasts.
No.
Right?
No, absolutely not. Well, real quick, here, put the mic like a little lower because it's putting a shadow on your face. There we go.
Oh, okay. What are you going to say?
I would like to hear one of the scariest things that's ever happened to you. Like if you have a scary story or an unexplained. I mean, this is not the nature of this podcast typically, but we're in the dark, and I'm like, I got the campfire crackling in my sound effects mind right now.
Ooh! I'm trying to think of something real fucking scary. I'll tell you. When I got really, really scared once, I had sworn, that I saw a ghost and heard someone in a fireplace in St. George Island off the coast of Florida. Me and my friends had just gotten to this rented house, and we were exhausted, so that definitely played a role, and we were smoking pot.
Wow.
But oh my God, we got into a place of collective fear where we heard something in the fireplace.
Yeah.
And we got really scared. And then, one of us got brave enough to go in, look up the fire escape. And then there were wings. It was birds.
Oh my God.
It was birds that were in the fireplace. And then we went out to the porch. We were frightened.
Yeah.
And I could have sworn, I just glanced to my right and I saw like an older man. And and it's funny, when your friends are with you, they pick up on your fear.
Yes.
And we had never been in this island before, and it was very isolated, And it was, that was the most scared I was. And then I think a very close second was trying to pay bills between the ages of 20 and 45.
That's still scary to me.
How about you? Do you have a scary story?
All the scary stuff. So, literally, I just got back from camping, too. I went up to Mono Hot Springs for a little while. But years ago, my buddy really wants to see Sasquatch. He really wants to see it. And that area is where there are a lot of reported Sasquatch sightings. And when we were all in
what supposedly is Sasquatch?
Some mountain ape sort of thing, some basically a gorilla that lives in the mountains, that may have evolved longer. There's a lot of theories.
Is that what they're calling the missing link, possibly?
Possibly, yes. That's all part of the, Flat Earth Society and the whole thing. But there's a lot of people that got unexplained Squatch stories. I have never seen one. I've never experienced one. But when we were up there, we were all hiking out to the lake, which is about a mile from our campground.
Right.
And we do it at night.
because the stars are so gorgeous out there. So we're doing that, and we hear the deepest growl I have ever heard in my life. And we all had headlamps on, and so we're trying to find, and we see glowing eyes.
Oh, you...
Yes.
Whoa. Was it a bear?
We think it was a mountain lion because of the sound. And so we all backed up really, really slowly. One of my buddies who was in the back had a gun with blanks in it. And so shot that thing off, and everything disappeared in the woods after that. It took off quick. But that was probably my most, I'm definitely going to get killed and die for sure in this moment right now.
Wow.
But yeah.
That's intense.
And one time there was a girl that was supposedly demon possessed at a church camp. I was playing music at a church camp, and there was a girl that started like growling and barking and stuff, and that was very scary. But I don't give that too much credit, even though I experienced it. I don't know if she was just, I don't know. It was very scary in the moment, but it wasn't like Halloween story scary. It was like, am I being tricked by a woman? Demons
run among us, you know. I think the scariest show I ever watched was Twin Peaks.
Oh yeah,
and the first one with, Bob.
The show.
Yeah, the show.
Yeah, that show is creepy, scary. It's the way you feel. It makes you feel scared, and not even what's happening.
And I'd like to throw this to our Patreon members or just people watching the podcast. Tell us your scariest story.
Ooh.
Email us. What's the email again, Kev?
EddiePepPodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah. Email us, and we'll read it on the air, you know?
Yeah.
Do that. But I think we're at our time, and we have to get back to safety. I mean, there isn't much light here.
Yeah. And we're kind of blinded by the light, wrapped up like a deuce. Something
in the night.
Yeah. Well, go to YouTube, go to Patreon, go to EddiePepitone.com for everything this podcast. Eddie's hitting the road. So get out there and go watch this man live. If
Midwest kids.
Yeah, get out there.
St. Louis, Kansas City, Cudahy, Wisconsin, Chicago, Cleveland, and Ferndale, Michigan.
Mm-hmm. I'll be in Bakersfield, Fireball, Tulare, Yucca. Yeah, guys, thanks so much. And that's it.
All right. Mm-hmm. You've been watching or listening to Apocalypse Soon, the podcast with no upside.